Hello everyone, welcome to From the Star Wars Library, where Star Wars is in print, the Force is with the readers, and Kiro is back in this episode. I'm your host, Nathan B. Butler. The story we're looking at this time is Marvel Star Wars 102. Looks like it should be called Kiro's Back, thanks to the cover there. Wow. Those are orange pants. I think. God, I hope. Not orange skin. This is a story entitled School Spirit by Mary Jo Duffy, this time with Sal Buscema doing the breakdowns of the artwork and Sam De La Rosa doing the finishes. So we wind up with a new artistic pairing for the series this time around. You find this these days in the pages of Star Wars Omnibus A Long Time Ago, Volume 5. So at this point, the Nagai War is beginning, and the belief is that back in the issue entitled Escape, number 97, Kiro died on Kinnuine while he was fighting against Din Siva to protect Danny. Well, that hasn't really been relayed to his people yet, and Luke feels like it's his duty to do so, so he and Lando are going to Iskalon to tell Monet, the leader of his people, and such, and the others what has happened to Kiro. He feels he owes them that. You may recall that back in Diplomacy, he had left kind of against the school's will, the will of the people, to join Luke and travel with him as part of the Alliance. Turns out when they arrive, though, that the Nagai are there, and they're working on killing off the Iskalonians. Not good. We wind up meeting, actually, in here, aside from Monet, Dania, kind of a different species there, kind of a more seahorse-looking Iskalonian here. And by the time that Luke and Lando show up, all the Nagai have been killed. And they're like, thank you. Like, we didn't do anything. It must have been him. Him who? Kiro. Kiro survived the events on Kinnuine and made his way back to help his people on Iskalon, knowing a threat like the Nagai are out there. He had sort of a drawing back to the school, so to speak. The problem basically here is that we will wind up finding that the Iskalonians had that sort of school of fish mentality, right? That's what made Kiro such an oddball, was that he could sort of resist that and wind up going off on his own. Probably his connection to the Force having something to do with that. Most of them will follow the leader, like lemmings. They will follow whatever it is that the leaders do or want to do. But they are being enslaved by the Nagai. And the idea is that if they were to be enslaved, they oppose it so bitterly, as they say in the issue, that perhaps they'd risk death or choose death rather than enslavement. But if, say, Monet and Dania, this other leader type individual here, if they were to kill themselves or allow themselves to be killed, if they were to give up, so would the school. They are the voices and the minds, sort of, for the school of Iskalonians. And if that were to happen, presumably we'd be looking at essentially a self-induced genocide, a mass suicide of a species level here, if Luke and them can't somehow stop the Nagai. So the stakes have never been higher really on Iskalon, except maybe back in the issue title when the Iskalon effect initially happened. We wind up finding that the Nagai have this tower they're using as a base. Luke reunites with Kiro. Luke and Lando and Kiro underwater are going after the Nagai, going after their base to bring the tower down and wind up defeating the Nagai who are there. And in doing so, it crumbles and it looks like Kiro is dead. Again, at this point. The Nagai have been defeated on Iskalon, and the school is saved. But it looks like Kiro gave his life to do so. Only, before it's time to leave, Kiro pops up to speak to Luke. Luke is very, very shocked. Kiro never really reveals how he got back to Iskalon from Kinnuine. Maybe he's stowed away with the Nagai. We don't really know. All he says is that Din wounded me, Luke. I was badly hurt, and I don't remember much of what happened after that. But when the Nagai came here to Iskalon, the same Nagai who had done those terrible things to us on Kinnuine, I had to protect my people. Problem is, he needs to stay with his people. He does not want Luke to let Danny or anyone else know that he is alive. Luke knows, Lando knows by spotting him, but that's it at this point. At this point, Kiro leaves the stage, so to speak. His storyline in the Marvel series is over as he goes to work with his people to protect their world, not the galaxy at large. The last we see of him is very much like back in R2-D2 to the Rescue, I believe it was, where he jumps down into the water and just swims away. So we know he's alive, but no one else can know. Kind of a bittersweet ending to that character, who is one that I was really growing to like, quite frankly. He had an interesting role to play, and the effects of his apparent death on Danny is going to be something we're going to wind up seeing throughout the rest of this series, and the effects of Den Siva's whole torture of Danny and his supposed killing of Kiro. Be an interesting interplay between those, though we only do have 5 issues to go in the Marvel series at this point. So, this story, School Spirit, is this an essential read? I would say for a Marvel reader, yes, it's an essential read because it's the end of Kiro's story, lets you know what happened to him after Escape. Is it an essential read for the broader EU? Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think the broader EU benefits too much about knowing about Kiro's fate. It's a good issue, and I like his storyline, but it's not something that's groundbreaking in and of itself, or something that's going to be earth-shattering. If you wind up missing it, you're going to be like, oh, what's going on? Nothing like that. Nothing like Lumaya, for instance, here. Kiro, kind of just a blip on the radar, unfortunately, for the broader EU reader. So, with that, we'll wrap up this episode. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with the readers.